Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of software testing. We're going to dig into why the apps on our phones and computers sometimes just break and explore the incredibly disciplined process that's all about stopping those failures before they ever happen.
We've all been there, right? You're about to hit save on something important and bam, the app crashes. It's a question we've all yelled at our screens. We count on software for pretty much everything, so when it flakes out, it can be a tiny hiccup or a total disaster. So what is really going on behind the scenes? To really get it, let's think about this like a detective story. When a piece of software fails, we've basically arrived at a digital crime scene. And our job isn't just to clean up the mess, no. We've got to investigate what happened, and more importantly, why. Okay, so check this out. This is the chain of evidence, and what's wild is that it almost always starts with a person. A human makes an error, a simple mistake, a typo, a misunderstanding. That error then creates a defect in the code. That's what we all call a bug. But here's the key. That bug can just sit there, harmless, until the exact moment the code is run. That's when the defect triggers a failure, the crash, or the weird glitch that you actually experience. But see, a really good detective doesn't just stop at finding the bug. They dig way deeper. They hunt for the root cause. Why did that developer make that error to begin with? Were they slammed with an impossible deadline? Was the system just ridiculously complex? Or, hey, maybe they just didn't have the right training. Getting to that root cause, that's how you stop future crimes from ever happening. So every great detective lives by a code, right? A set of rules that guide their investigation. Well, in software testing, there are 7 of these fundamental principles that every single pro lives and breathes by. Let's get into them. And this one is huge. It's a really humbling but absolutely critical idea. The bottom line is this. Testing can prove that bugs exist, but it can never, ever prove that a piece of software is 100% bug-free. It's just not possible. No matter how much you test, you can never be totally sure you found every last one. And, that flows right into our second principle. Why can't we prove there are no bugs left? Well, because testing literally everything is completely impossible. Think about it. The number of different inputs, combinations, and pathways through any modern app is practically infinite. It would be like trying to count every single grain of sand on a beach. It's just not going to happen. So testers have to be smart and strategic. All right, now this is where the detective work gets super efficient. Finding a bug early on, like back in the design phase, before a single line of code has even been written, is way, way cheaper and faster to fix than finding it in the final product. It's the difference between erasing a line on a blueprint versus taking a sledgehammer to a wall in a finished house. So if you can't test everything, where do you even start? Well, that's where this idea comes in. Turns out, bugs aren't spread out evenly. Just like in a city where crime tends to be concentrated in certain areas, in software, a small number of parts, around 20%, are often responsible for the vast majority of the problems, like 80% of them. So a good tester knows how to find these bug hotspots and focus their investigation right there. I love this one. This is called the absence of defects fallacy. Just imagine, a team builds a brand new navigation app. It works perfectly, 0 bugs. But it can only give you directions to one totally random place. Is it useful? Nope. So the point is, testing isn't just about making sure the software was built correctly, it's also about making sure the right software was built in the first place, one that actually helps you do what you need to do. Okay, so we've got the rules of the road for our detectives. Now, what's their playbook? What's the standard operating procedure that gives structure to every single investigation? You might think testing is just, running the tests, but it's way more structured than that. It all starts with planning, which is like defining the mission. Then you move into analysis and design, where you figure out what to look for and how you're going to find it. Implementation is all about getting your tools ready, writing your test scripts, and so on. Only then do you get to execution, the part where you're actually running the tests. And finally, you have completion, which is like closing the case file and reporting everything you found. All right, playbooks in hand. Now we need the actual interrogation techniques, right? The specific methods our detectives use to get the software to spill its secrets and uncover those hidden clues. So you can basically break it down into 2 main styles of investigation. First, you've got black box testing. Here, the tester knows nothing about what's going on inside the code. They just check if the inputs give the right outputs. It's like testing a car by driving it without ever popping the hood. Then you have white box testing. In this case, the tester has the blueprints. They can see the internal code, and they design tests specifically to check all those internal pathways and logic. So to give you a really concrete example of this white box stuff, there's a technique called basis path testing. Think of it like this. Imagine a security guard has to patrol a big, complex building. This technique helps them design a route that makes sure they walk down every single independent hallway and corridor at least once. It guarantees no path is left unchecked. Okay, so the investigation's wrapping up, all the clues are on the table. What's the verdict? What's the real point of all this detective work? What's the ultimate value? Now, here's something a lot of people get mixed up. Testing and quality assurance, or QA, they're not the same thing. Not at all. Testing is about finding defects in the actual product. It's corrective. QA is all about improving the process to prevent defects from being made in the first place. You could say testing finds the criminal, QA improves the city planning to prevent the crime. And that gets us to the absolute core of it all. The real goal isn't just a laundry list of bugs. No, the whole point, the entire purpose of professional testing is to give people information. It's about building confidence that the software is going to do what it's supposed to do when it really counts. And that confidence, it's everything. Really good testing lowers the risk of that embarrassing failure. It gives the people in charge the information they need to decide, hey, are we ready to launch this thing? It makes sure the software actually solves the user's problem. Basically, it turns a bunch of unknowns into measurable, tangible confidence. So look, if there's just one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this. Testing isn't really a destructive process of just finding fault. At its heart, it's a constructive process. It's not just about pointing a finger at what's broken. It's about systematically building up confidence in what actually works, giving us the assurance we need to depend on the software that runs our entire world. And that kind of leads us with one last question to chew on, doesn't it? If we totally accept that testing can never prove a program is perfect, then what is it exactly that we're building confidence in? Maybe it's not confidence in perfection. Maybe it's confidence in our understanding of the risks and in our ability to manage them. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching.